This is 120 facts about the movie Cars. Cars came out in June 9, 2006. The movie was produced by Pixar Animation Studios and released by Walt Disney Pictures. The film was directed by John Lasseter and a screenplay by Dan Fogelman, John Lasseter, Joe Ranft, T.L. Murray, Phil Loren, and Jürgen Kluben. And the story by John Lasseter, Joe Ranft, and Jürgen Kluben. The movie was the last Pixar movie before Disney acquired the rights to Pixar. Owen Wilson voices Lightning McQueen, Paul Newman voices Doc Hudson, Bonnie Hunt voices Sally Carrera, Larry the Cable Guy voices Mater, Tony Shalhoub voices Luigi, Cheech Marin voices Ramon, Michael Wallace voices Sheriff, George Carlin voices Fillmore, Paul Dudley voices Sarge, Jennifer Lewis voices Flo, Guido Quaroni voices Guido, Richard Petty voices the King, Michael Keaton voices Chick Hicks, Katherine Hellman voices Lizzie, John Ratzenberger voices Mac, Joe Ranft voices Red, Jeremy Piven voices Harv in the US, Jeremy Clarkson voices Harv in the UK, Bob Costas voices Bob Cultus, Daryl Waltrip voices Daryl Cartrip, Humpy Wheeler voices Tex Dynaco, Linda Petty voices Linda Weathers, Dale Earnhardt Jr. voices Junior 8, Michael Schumacher voices Michael Schumacher Ferrari, Tom and Ray Magliozzi voices Rusty and Dusty Rusties, Richard Kind and Eddie McClurg voices Van and Minnie, Lindsay Collins and Ellison Knight voices Mia and Tia, Mario Andretti voices Mario Andretti 11, Sarah Clark voices Corey Turbowitz, Jay Leno voices Jay Limo, Jonas Rivera voices Boost, EJ Holowicki voices DJ, Lou Romano voices Snotrod, Jess Harnell voices Ven Governator, Mike No Name Nelson voices Notchuck, Tom Hanks, Tim Allen, Billy Crystal, John Goodman, Dave Foley, and John Ratzenberger reprised their voice roles at the end of the movie. The movie was dedicated to Joe Ranft. This was also Paul Newman's final non-documentary film before he died. It turned out to be the highest-grossing film of his career. Development on Cars began in 1998. The movie was going to be titled The Yellow Car, which was about an electronic car living in a gas-guzzling world inspired by The Ugly Duckling. The movie was supposed to release in June 4, 1999, but it was replaced by Toy Story 2. Cars soundtrack was written by Randy Newman. Cars was released on DVD on November 7, 2006 in the US and Canada. It was released on DVD on October 25, 2006 on Australia and New Zealand, and on November 27, 2006 on United Kingdom. The DVD includes the DVD-exclusive short film Mater and the Ghost Light, and the film's theatrical short One Man Band. In Cars' opening weekend, Cars earned $60 million in 3,985 theaters in the US, ranking number 1 in the box office. For 3 years, it would hold the record for having the highest opening weekend for any car-oriented film until it got surpassed by Fast and the Furious. Cars was the second highest grossing animated film of 2006 after Ice Age The Meltdown. Cars is 74% in Rotten Tomatoes and 79% in audience score. The movie is rated G, and the movie is 1 hour 57 minutes long. Cars 2 came out in June 4, 2011. The movie was produced by Pixar Animation Studios for Walt Disney Pictures. The film was directed by John Lasseter and co-directed by Brad Lewis and produced by Dennis Ream, from a screenplay by Ben Quinn and a story by John Lasseter, Brad Lewis, and Dan Fogelman. George Carlin, the original voice of Fillmore, died, so Fillmore's role was given to Lloyd Sher. He also voiced Tony Trihull. Michael Caine voices Finn McMissile. Emily Mortimer voices Holly Shifwell. John Turturro voices Francesco Bornoli. Eddie Izzard voices Sir Miles Axelrod. Thomas Kretschmann voices Professor Zundap. Cars is the second Pixar film to have a sequel. Cars 2 is 39% in Rotten Tomatoes and 49% in audience score. The movie is rated G. The movie is 1 hour 47 minutes long. Cars 3 was directed by Brian Fee in his directorial debut, and this is the first Cars movie not directed by John Lasseter. The movie is produced by Kevin Reher and Andrea Warren, from a screenplay written by Kiel Murray, Bob Peterson, and Mike Rich, and the story by Brian Fee and Ben Quinn. Cristela Alonso voices Cruz. Chris Cooper voices Smokey. Nathan Fillion voices Sterling. Armie Hammer voices Jackson Storm. Lea Delaria voices Miss Fritter. Cars 3 is 69% in Rotten Tomatoes and audience score. The movie is rated G. The movie is 1 hour 49 minutes long. Cars is 24th in all Pixar movies ranked.
Ka-chow!